What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel, and for today's video, you guys know I don't normally do videos on a Saturday, but this one is going to be an entire discussion video on one of the three brand new archetypes in the brand new TCG deck build set, the Grand Creators, which will be released sometime this year. Yeah. And I can tell you right now, one of the new cards that's going to be in this set will be the brand new Injector spell that was part of the 2020 Create a Card project that Konami had started. And what I find so cool about this set is that as I had mentioned before, the Injectors was chosen by you guys to win the Create a Card project, which apparently you guys thought Injectors needed new support, and they got a spell, but not just any spell. I believe it got an equip spell, if I remember correctly. But if you guys are wondering what's with the phone, I actually got my brand new phone. This is the T-Mobile Revel 4. I got this from Metro. Big shout out to Metro. Not sponsored. Don't want to get copyrighted. You guys know how this works, but I just wanted to show it off. And I have to admit the dark theme on Instagram is actually kind of cool. It's actually kind of cool. I kind of like it. But I'm going to shut that off for now. But without any further ado, let's get straight into it. So this is the first of three new archetypes called P.U.N.K. Yes, P.U.N.K. I don't even know. It's basically a psychic type art. It's a psychic archetype based off made of earth monsters. If I'm looking at this right, earth, light, water, wind, and wind as far as we know. So there's quite a few cards that I will be talking about in this video. So I'm not gonna waste any time. Let's get straight into it. And if you guys do enjoy the video and you guys want more videos like this in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And of course, check me out on Twitter and Instagram. The links are down in the description. So let's get straight into it. So first up, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! P.U.N.K. Sharakusai, which is a 3-star Earth Psychic Tuner with 1200 attack and 1600 defense. Both of its effects are a once per turn. First effect says you can pay 600 life points, fusion summon one P.U.N.K. fusion from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. So with this effect, it's basically it's a monster polymerization basically, which is really cool, which is really good because you don't really need. Because a deck like this, you don't really need polymerization, but there are some. But I'm sure that once the archetype does get released, I'm sure that there's going to be some variants, variants of decks that are gonna use a fusion spell like polymerization, or even maybe ultra polymerization as well, which. Not sure if that card would be useful in a deck like this. And then the second effect says during your opponent's turn, as a quick effect, you can pay 600 life points immediately after this card resolves. Synchro summon one P.U.N.K. Synchro. So the fusion is called Yu-Gi-Oh! P.U.N.K. Carp Rising, and then the synchro is called Yu-Gi-Oh! P.U.N.K. Amazing Dragon, which I will talk about those cards in a second. But honestly, I honestly, I like this. Being able to just automatically go into a being able to just automatically go into a fusion, go into a synchro, just right off the bat is really good. And not only does it give you extra board presence, but it also helps you go into, but it also helps you with your with some of your other synchro plays when you go when your turn comes up. So this is a really good card, and I presume this will be one of the main combo starters that you're gonna need at least 3 of, easily a 3 of. Next up we have Gaga Goo, Gaga Giku. I don't know how to pronounce that one. Punk Wagon, which is a 3-star Earth Psychic, 900 attack and 600 defense, and again, both of its effects are once per turn. You can pay 600 life points, add 1 Punk spell card from your deck to your hand. So it's basically it's basically a Rhoda for spells, which searching your deck, you can't go wrong with that. You cannot go wrong with that. Second effect says when a Punk monster you control is targeted for an attack by an opponent's card effect as a quick effect, you can draw 1 card. Yeah, so if your opponent has a bunch of monsters, you're gonna be drawing a bunch of cards. It's basically Max C, basically, which is really good. The only difference between this card and Max C is that with Max C, you have to send it to the graveyard to trigger its effect, where every time your opponent would special summon a monster, you get to draw a card. Shared Ride is the exact same way, but instead of summoning, but instead of your opponent summoning, if your opponent adds cards from their deck to their hand, you get to draw a card. Which Shared Ride even now, Shared Ride's still useful in so many different decks, even like Galaxy Eyes decks and whatnot. It's really good. This card is pretty much the same, but it focuses on when Punk monsters that you have on the field are being targeted for attacks or by an opponent's card effect. So with this, you would be able to make this effect as Chain Link 2 if one of your Punk monsters is being targeted by a card effect. That card effect would be Chain Link 1. This card's effect, where you're able to draw a card, would be Chain Link 2, and then you can activate something like possibly Fiendish Chain. That would be Chain Link 3. Fiendish Chain would resolve. Your opponent's monster's effect would not be activated, and then this card's effect would be activated, where you're able to just draw a card right off the bat. Which is a really cool effect, but another way that another route that you can also take is go monster effect Chain Link 1, Fiendish Chain Link 2, this effect Chain Link 3. But if you go the first route, it would lock your opponent out of activating Ash Blossom right off the bat. So, but if your opponent does use Ash Blossom, obviously that would be Chain Link 4, and then of course Called by the Grave would be Chain Link 5. So, but yeah, being able to just draw a card right off the bat, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Next up, we have Jaruri Punk Madam Spider, which is a 3-star Earth Psychic tuner. 900 attack, 600 defense. Are they all tuners? They're all tuners. They're all tuner monsters. I didn't realize it. They're all tuner monsters, except for one. One is not a tuner. Both of its effects are once per turn. You can pay 600 life points, add a Punk trap from your deck to your hand. Okay, so the last one focuses on adding spells. This one focuses on adding traps. Pretty cool. When you activate a Punk card or Punk card effect that targets a card your opponent controls as a quick effect, you can target face up monster your opponent controls, half of its attack until the end of the turn. Yikes, that's pretty good. That's pretty broken, especially if you're going into especially if you're wanting to conduct your battle phase. This card could really come in handy really quickly. But again, I didn't notice it, but all but one monster in as far as the main deck goes are all tuner monsters. That's actually kind of cool. Next up, we have No Punk Seaman. No Punk Seaman. What the hell? Okay, that has got to be by far the most hilarious name I ever heard. That, oh my god, that is a hilarious name. Really funny. We're all mature here. Which No Punk Seaman is a 3-star Earth Psychic Tuner with 600 attack and defense. Both of its effects are once per turn. You can pay 600 life points, add a punk monster from your deck to your hand, except this card. It's Rhoda. It's a Rhoda. So the last three, this one, Jaruri, and Wagon can search one different type of card. Wagon can add spells. Jaruri can add traps, and then this one can add monsters, which is really cool. Especially if you have all three on the field, you're good. You're pretty much golden at this point. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one punk monster you control. It gains 600 attack. So basically, you can activate both effects in the same turn. So not only are you losing life points, but one of your monsters is gaining those those points as its own attack, which is really good. Now we have what appears to be the boss monster of the main deck. We have No Punk Foxy Toon, which is a 8-star light beast with 2,300 attack and 2,600 defense, and both of its and the first two effects are once per turn. You can tribute one punk monster, special summon this card from your hand. Basically, it has an effect similar to the Egyptian gods, where you can just tribute monsters and you just special summon the gods right away. But with this one, it's only but with this one, you're really tributing one monster, which is really crazy. You can send this card from your hand or field to the grave. Send one card from your hand to the grave, and if you do, special summon a punk monster from your deck, except a level 8 monster. So this is basically a 2-for-1. You're tributing this card. You're Foolish Barreling. You're sending. You're oh, excuse me. You're sending. So it's basically with this effect, it's 2-for-1. You're sending this card and another card from your hand directly to the grave, and you're summoning a punk monster from your deck, which could literally be anything. But in this case, your best bet would be to be target Seaman, because you can summon her. You can summon her, pay the 600, and then add a punk monster from your deck to your hand, and that monster can actually be Sharakusai, in which you can also activate the spell Double Summon, be able to normal summon this, and then trigger the effect and go into the fusion, which is the one that I'm going to talk about here in just a second. Which, again, hello, incredible. There are so many things, so many different combos you can do with this deck. With this archetype, it's absolutely insane. And then the last effect says, once per turn, when this card destroys a monster in battle, you gain life points equal to the original attack of that monster. So let's see, if this card somehow destroys Bordeled Savage Dragon, you gain 3,000. if this card, you know, destroys, I don't know, we'll say Stardust Dragon. Let's say that as another example. You gain 2,500. Easy. It's just that simple. Gaining life points and being able to give up life points to go into your fusion plays and your synchro plays. Yeah, that's a pretty good effect. Pretty good deck. Next up, so now for the fusion, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! P.U.N.K, Carp Rising, which is an 8-star water fish fusion with 1,000 attack and 2,600 defense, and requires 2 P.U.N.K monsters. Both of its effects are once per turn. You can tribute this fusion summon card, special summon up to 2 P.U.N.K monsters with different names, except level 8 monsters from your hand or deck in defense position. So you could either Sidra the 2 monsters, or you can summon them from the deck, which your best bet were to be summoned from the deck, because there's gonna be cards, because there's gonna be a time where you're not gonna have any monsters in your hand to summon, because you're gonna be spamming the board with a bunch of monsters, and so your best bet, summon them from excuse me. Summon them from the deck, and one of those cards, in my opinion, should be Sharakusai. That way you can go ahead, pay 600 life points and use those two materials to summon a second copy of Carp Rising, which will allow you to trigger the second effect of this card, which says, if this card is used as material for a synchro summon, you can target 1 P.U.N.K monster you control. This turn it can attack twice during each battle phase. Yeah, so it has an effect similar to Nathun the Starlight, where you're able to just attack or no, not Nathun. There was another one. There was another monster for Black Waves. I don't remember what that was. Dragocitos. It was Dragocitos. It made me think about Black Wings for a second. Yeah, Dragocitos, Corrupted Nether Soul Dragon. It allows you to attack twice on a monster, which that's what the second effect of this card is about. Basically, being able to just target one of your monsters. It gains the double attack of Dragocitos, or I guess rather Cyber Twin Dragon to be more accurate, actually. So now for the synchro. So we have Yu-Gi-Oh! P.U.N.K Amazing Dragon, which is a 11-star Wind Sea Serpent synchro with 3,000 attack and 2,800 defense. It requires a tuner and one or more non-tuners. So pretty generic, but it mainly works with it mainly works with any psychic base deck, which I don't think there are any nowadays in 2021. I don't even know, but what's cool about this is that if you have the fusion and Sharakusai and also P.U.N.K Wagon, you can activate Sharakusai's effect, pay the 600, and use Wagon, tune the Wagon with the fusion, and you can automatically summon the dragon instantly, which is really cool. And both of its effects are actually once per turn. So the first effect says, if this card is synchro summon, you can target a number of cards your opponent controls up to the number of level 3 psychic monsters with different names in your field and grave, return them to the hand. So it has an effect similar to Compulsory Evacuation Device, which actually is a pretty good effect. That's a really good effect. Really good effect. Being able to just pop cards your opponent controls and jump them back to the hand gives you some extra leeway go into your plays, and then just automatically go into your synchro plays, your link plays, make your board, and just attack for game right off the bat, easily. The only downside is that you have to be careful, because if you're playing this deck, one thing that you have to be careful of is the fact that your opponent can play cards like Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, even Solemn Strike as well, and you have to have a backup plan for this deck. And I believe there really isn't one at the moment. Your best bet would to probably be cards like maybe Divine Wrath, I would presume. I'm actually gonna look that up. I've never. I'm actually gonna look it up on Yu-Gi-Oh! Neuron right now on my phone. Give me a second here, but yeah, with Divine Wrath, I think that focuses on. If I remember right, that was a card that could oh, never mind. Okay, so Divine Wrath was a counter trap for monster effects, so kind of similar to what you call it, to Solemn Strike, basically. So it says when a monster effect is activated, discard one card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster. So basically, that's basically what it does. So I thought it would work with I thought it would work with any of the songs, but I guess not. But yeah, so maybe add other counter traps into the deck. I'm not so sure if this archetype will get counter traps, but if they do, that would be incredible. That would be insane. So again with this effect, it's gonna get countered with a card like Solemn Judgment or whatever. So you need to have a Solemn Judgment or something of your own to negate theirs, and you can use the compulsive effect. Second effect says, but with that, the second effect says you can target one punk monster in your grave, except this card, special summon it. So basically, it has a monster reborn effect. So that's pretty good. Having a monster reborn effect, that is pretty good. Now on to the spells. First up, we have the two continuous spells, which the first one is Gagaku Punk Wild Picking. The first effect is a once per turn. At the start of the damage step, if your punk monster is battling an opponent's monster, you can destroy that opponent's monster. It's a triple effect. It's a triple effect. You cannot go wrong with that. Excuse me. It's basically a triple effect, so you can't go wrong with that. Being able to just automatically destroy your opponent's monster right off the bat, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Especially if your opponent's monster is the one conducting the battle phase. This card could really come in handy. This card is definitely a 3 of. Maybe two, but definitely a 3. Second effect says, if this card in its owner's spell and trap zone is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can activate this effect. For the rest of this turn, punk monsters you currently control cannot be destroyed by battle. Which is insane. Now, the second one, which is called Crusher Beat, the first two words are the same, Gagaku Punk. But Crusher Beat is kind of an interesting one, because the second effect is the same, but the first effect is different. Because it says, if your opponent activates a card or a card effect that targets a punk monster in your possession, You can target one card your opponent controls and destroy it. So not only are you able to trap hole your opponent's monsters with Wild Picking, but with Crusher Beat, you can just automatically MST, your opponent's back row right off the bat. Literally, you could just target any card they have on the field and just destroy it right off the bat. That is insane. And then the second effect is kind of interesting because with Wild Picking it says the second effect says if it were to be destroyed by an opponent's card, then P.U.N.K monsters that you currently have on the field can't be destroyed in battle. This one says that they cannot be targeted by or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So, yeah, having both on the field at the same time, you have a pretty good lock. You have a pretty good lock on your monsters, which is really crazy. Now on to the normal traps. First up, we have Jaruri P.U.N.K, Dangerous Gabu, which says target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects for the rest of the turn. Then, if you control a P.U.N.K monster, gain life points equal to the targeted monster's original attack. So you can basically target cards like Utopic Draco, and you gain that much attack, which is really good. You can target Utopia, you gain 2,500. I don't have to say anything more about it. It's just that good. Now on to the second normal trap, which is Jaruri P.U.N.K Nashiwari Surprise. Target one face-down card your opponent controls, or if you control a P.U.N.K monster, you can target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy it. So if you don't control a P.U.N.K monster, then you have to target a face-down card your opponent controls. But if you control one, then you can target a face-up card your opponent controls and destroy, which is really good. And crazy enough, the reprint that one of the big reprints that's going to be in this set, which is going to be Grand Creators, is called Psychic Wielder. We actually had this in a set recently, not too long ago. I'm actually going to look it up online. I'm going to go back to Neuron, and I'm actually going to figure out what set that was in. I don't remember the set. If I remember correctly, I'm actually looking it up online right now. Hang on. So Psychic Wielder says if you control a level 3 monster other than this card, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense. You can only special summon Psychic Wielder once per turn this way. If this card is sent to the grave as synchro material, you can target a monster on the field with less attack than the synchro monster that uses the card as material and destroy. You can only use the effect once per turn. That's a pretty good effect. But what I'm curious about is where that set, what set that came from. I want to say Savage Strike. I think it came out in Savage Strike. If I remember correctly, I believe it came out in Savage Strike, which is really which that was a really good set back then. Back then, being able to, having cards like Borderload Savage Dragon and this card, I don't know if it was Savage Strike or Cybernetic Horizon. It was one or the other. But as far as like my thoughts on this archetype, honestly, it's really good. Being able to lock your opponent from targeting your P.U.N.K monsters, from being destroyed in battle, targeted by or destroyed by card effects with the 2 continuous spells, and being able to just spam the board with a bunch of synchros and fusions and whatnot. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Do I recommend playing the deck upon its release? Absolutely, absolutely. I'm actually tempted to build the deck, but I'm not entirely sure. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Question of the day: what are you guys' thoughts on the new Punk archetype? And do you guys think that this deck will be meta? Let me know in the comments below. And that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys want more Yu-Gi-Oh news videos in the foreseeable future, which gets posted normally every Tuesday, unless if I have some other news to talk about, then yeah, I post on Saturday sometimes. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. All the links will be down in the description. If you guys have fan mail that you want to send me and want me to open up on the channel, my address will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.